Welcome back to another CM Travels video. Today we're going to be having a look at the Nikon 24-70 F2.8 S lens. Let's get into it. So let us have a peek at what Nikon are saying about this lens. Enter a new age of operability with the Nikon Z24-70 F2.8 S lens. A cutting-edge control ring gives you even more control with extra settings, including aperture and exposure compensation. Perfect for capturing smooth stills in movies. This lens also comes equipped with an interactive lens information panel that helps users confirm settings such as aperture, focus distance, and depth of field without having to look into the viewfinder. Extra functions such as the L function ring, button, not ring, and its dust and drip resistance makes the Nikon Z24-70 F2.8 S the perfect companion for efficient shooting in any environment. Well, I can confirm that there is indeed a display panel which displays all of the above or aforementioned. Next, compact and light body is attained for a high performance zoom lens. Portability is an important factor in making this fast, standard zoom lens highly versatile. Thanks to the Z-mount system that provides substantially improved flexibility in lens design, a compact and light lens body that was previously thought difficult to achieve with an f2.8 zoom lens is realized while delivering a higher standard of optical performance. The easy-to-carry body with a weight of approximately 805 grams and a length of 226.0 millimeters increases shooting opportunities, enabling creation of imaginative works for both business and leisure/hobby situations, as well as dynamic landscape shoots during travel. Well, it is indeed smaller and lighter than its predecessor, and looks way better. See that? Do you want a quick look again? Let me line these up better for you. I would say the S1 is way more sexy. Whether or not you use it for landscape photography is your own choice. Personally, I have found 70 to 200 more creative when it comes to landscapes, but I think that is because I like to isolate my subject, and I find 24 millimeters really wide for my kind of style. But what did Nikon say next? Great movie recording performance realized by intensive consideration for even the smallest details. The Nikon 24-70mm f2.8 S delivers high rendering performance in both still and movie shooting. Genuine movie performance is achieved via the adoption of a variety of features that enable smooth movie expression. It incorporates a control ring to which aperture or exposure compensation setting can be assigned. Smooth and quiet recording is made possible with its clickless operational feel. Also, the operation sounds of AF and diaphragm mechanisms are intensively suppressed to ensure comfortable recording. Focus breathing, shifting of the angle view from adjusting focus, is effectively compensated for smoother movie recording. Other advanced movie functions include smooth diaphragm control that provides natural transitions to image brightness during recording. Well, if you have not heard me harping on about how amazing I have found the S-line lenses and the Z-mount cameras, well, go and watch them. But on a serious note, the DSLR for videography do not even come close to comparing with the mirrorless system. That I know for sure. Right, what did Nikon say next? Refined styling and high functionality. The that a higher class S-line model provides. In addition to an easy-to-use control ring that functions independently of the focus ring, a lens information panel is incorporated that enables quick confirmation of aperture, focus distance, depth of field, etc., without looking into the viewfinder. It also adopts a L function lens function button, which enhances convenience by allowing an increased number of functions to be assigned. For the lens hood, a hood release is employed to prevent unintentional dropping of the lens hood. All of these features contribute to the refinement of design and functionality. All of the aforementioned I can again confirm. The hood release is much better than the previous hoods. Let's give that a quick try on the lenses. The F mount. Boom. I don't know how you were getting that off before. Pretty standard. And I actually like that. Pretty simple. Z mount. Much smaller. Yeah, that was pretty quick. And there's your little button. Let's get it off. Okay. Very cool. Another little feature which I like about this lens hood is on the inside of the lining there's like this felt feeling, and that apparently, well, not apparently, it does reduce the reflection that comes off the inside of the lens, in case you're wondering, compared to the old school which just had the plastic finish on the inside. And as you can see with the light here, there is quite a bit of reflection when we compare it to the new mount. So overall, prefer the little one. I personally have not used the control ring much, but I think it is a great addition to functionality. The panel, I think, is nice but unnecessary in my personal opinion. I have all the information I need when I look through the EVF or simply on the back monitor of the screen. What else does Nikon say? Reliability that enables photographers to use with supreme confidence. The lens body was designed carefully, considering dust and drip resistance performance. Various areas, including movable parts of the lens barrel, are sealed to prevent dust and water droplets from entering the body. Nikon's original fluorine coat is applied to the front and rear lens elements that are likely to get dirty during outdoor shooting. Besides its superb anti-fouling performance, its anti-reflection performance also contributes to obtaining clearer images, whatever the circumstances. And I have to admit that this has been a really nice development from an outdoor and wildlife point of view. I have not personally put it through a blizzard, but I would be happy to take it out in the snow and rain, no problem. You may have seen other photographers using it in crazy conditions. I'm not that brave, so I'm not going to do it, but it is capable of doing it. Dust, I think, could still get in through the zoom ring area, this area that I'm talking about here, but it does look incredibly sealed here, meaning that the likelihood of dust getting in has been as reduced as they possibly can. And anybody who's been traveling, who's gone on a safari, who's done any of those sorts of things, realize that there is a probability of dust getting into those zoom lenses where the zooms come out of the body itself. But it seems really well constructed, and the possibility has definitely decreased of that happening again. Another important point is there much difference between this F2.8 version and the F4? Well, yes. When we compare the F2.8 against the F4 version of the lens, we can see that the F2.8 is sharper when they are both wide open, at f4 and f2.8 of course respectively. But when we get to f8 or f11, there is very little difference, at least at the 24mm length. When we go to 70, the f2.8 is again sharper and shows similar sharpness. When we put them in low light, we can shoot the f2.8 at 6400 ISO, and if we did that with the f4, we'd probably be pushing 12,800 ISO to get the same amount of light into the glass to create the same image, which of course, as soon as you increase the ISO level, your photos become more grainy, which takes away the sharpness. When we also compare it with the F mount to 24-70 f2.8, there's again a noticeable difference between the sharpness. The F mount is a lot softer and we see far more color fringing and chromatic aberration. So therefore, to date, this is the best 24-70 f2.8 lens that Nikon has ever made. I have to admit this is a tough lens for me to review, as I would never really use it. I think the 50mm f1.8 would be my go-to for images of friends and family, and does more than enough for me to capture scenes. Plus, it is much cheaper. I can pick up a new 50mm f1.8 for about 500 Swiss francs. Whereas this bad boy, over 2,000 Swiss francs, just a little bit, but it's still. And realistically, I could get a second-hand Z6, which I'm currently filming on, with a new 50mm f1.8 for about the same price as just this lens alone. So I think it really comes down to what you use it for. Having recently used the Nikon f1.2 and the Noct 0.95, I think the lower f-stop gives you such a shallow depth of field which is not matched by the f2.8. This goes for both stills and video. And the difference from when testing this lens versus the other S-line lenses with video is minimal, that breathing I was talking about earlier. The difference between f-mount and the DSLR when videoing is worlds apart, as I have mentioned in many of the previous videos I have done while using this S-mount on the Z cameras, like this Z6 II right here. So realistically, in terms of a video perspective, you of course would go with the mirrorless and S-line lenses and not with the DSLR. So when would you pick up this lens? Leave your comment below. I'll be interested to see how you use it. I think the 1.8 line is where I would be steered towards, but they do not have the versatility of the zoom. But I think the bokeh and the smoothness is superior than this 2.8 lens. Now this is not to say that you should not go out and get this lens. If you need it, as it is the sharpest and best 24-70 f2.8 lens that Nikon have made. Videographers will be also drawn to it as it gives you many options. The control ring is great, and the L function button gives you another button to assign something to. And ergonomically, wait 1 second, let's attach it. Ergonomically, the lens is smaller and lighter than its predecessors, and it balances really well with the Z6 II in this case, and of course the Z7 and the Z7 II. If you are spending a whole day shooting a wedding or something like that, you should survive, but as I've mentioned in a previous video, I really like the battery grip, and I think even with this, for me, it's still a bit front heavy. So perhaps getting the battery grip is worth it. Now before I give you my final verdict, please do not hesitate to learn more about CM Travels and order our completely 100% biocotton t-shirts in the links in the description below. The masks are on the way, but we want to do a quality control first to make sure the product is good enough. A huge thank you to you. We have now got over 370 subscribers, and this is amazing. Thank you so much. Many of you have been with us from the beginning. And now our most recent video of the 50mm f1.2 S lens is being featured on the Nikon Rumors website. Absolutely amazing, and it would not have been possible without you. And of course, a huge thank you to Andy from Nikon, who has really been there for us during this global pandemic over the last year. Here's to my final impressions. Because this lens is part of the Holy Trinity series, i.e. the 14 to 24, the 24 to 70, and then finally the 70 to 100, it's going to make this lens very, very popular. And I'm sorry to those of you who may be disappointed by my comments before. But for me, my holy trinity would be the 50mm f1.8, the 85mm f1.8, and when it comes out, the 200 to 600. But that's because I have, through time, realized that I prefer the prime lenses. The 50mm f1.2 would be fantastic, but it's way over my budget. The 200 to 600 is some of the best focal length for wildlife. I hope it will be an f4 to f5.6, but I suspect it will be a 5.6 to 6.3. And this could push me towards a 70 to 200 f2.8 with a 1.4 teleconverter. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.